Half Forgotten History is presented by State Farm. Getting great car or home insurance from State Farm at a surprisingly great rate? Well, that's just like talking to the biggest names in NFL history and hearing their untold stories. It's the real deal. So choose insurance that always brings its A game. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
He said, Norv, how many carries can I give him? And Norv turned to him and said, he'll let you know when he's tired.
I don't think I ever remember you saying, yeah, I'm tired. I don't think that ever happened. Hey everybody, Trey Wingo here. Welcome into another edition of Half Forgotten History. You know the drill. We sit down with some of the greatest names in sports, chop it up, some of the great stories you've never heard before, all while enjoying a very, very soothing beverage. Today's guest is pretty special to me. I grew up a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, and they went through a terrible time for a few years. I know that sounds pretentious, a few years, but then they got to the Super Bowl 3 out of 4 years. I took my dad to all 3 Super Bowls, so that was fun. And a big reason why was our guest today. He was the number 1 pick for the Cowboys, 17th overall in 1990, the third of 3 straight Hall of Fame first-round picks for them. All he did was become an MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and lead the game as the leading rusher in the history of the NFL. Of course, I'm talking about number 22, Emmitt Smith. Man, it is always good to see you, Emmitt. How are we living, my friend?
Hey, I'm living, brother. I'm making it day by day like everyone else is right now, dealing with this quarantine and many other things, but I can't complain. One thing I've learned, Trey, about life and through sport, that you're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days. Just try to persevere through all days.
Well, you had many more good days than bad days, so let's make this a good day with a little little bottle you got there, a little Bermuda tequila.
Yes, sir. I'm going to pour me a little bit of Herradura tequila right here. This is Ultra, by the way, which is one of the premium tequilas that Herradura offer. It's one of my favorites, along with my ES22. I got an ES22 that's a Reposado. That's pretty good. But cheers to you, my friend, and cheers to your podcast and to all the listeners and followers out there. This is one of those things where you drink slowly, neatly, but responsibly.
Absolutely. Wow, that is good. See, I always like coming on with you because you give me the good stuff. Now I feel like I'm ready to roll. Okay.
I've been working with Herradura for about 10 years now.
Wow.
And, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary this year. Matter of fact, I want to say sometime in January, because we launched it at the Super Bowl 45 right here in Dallas.
Yeah.
I launched a relationship with Herradura and been with them for 10 years. But this right here and some other things that they have, oh my gosh.
Well, I'm looking forward to sampling all of that. But let's start at the beginning with you, because I don't know if anybody made a better entrance into the Dallas Cowboys than you did. And of course, I'm talking about that outfit that you wore when you came to Dallas after you were drafted. If people haven't seen this thing, I can only describe it as a brown polka dotted jumper over a mustard yellow shirt. Yeah. That thing will stick with me as long as I live.
You know, it was back in the day. There was a polka dotted outfit. There was a guy named Kwame and MC Hammer. They all wore these real loose pants and so forth. Oh, yeah. But with Kwame had this like little polka dotted outfit and so forth. So polka dots was actually in at the time. So I wore this polka dotted jumper, and I didn't have a chance to change clothes because I didn't know where I would be drafted at. Right. So I was at home relaxing, chilling with my family. This is before you had the internet the way we know it today. Right. So not knowing where you get drafted at, you just chilling around your family, not knowing if you're going to go in the first round, second round, or third round. So when I fell out of the top 10, didn't know if I would even be a first round draft pick. So when I got selected by the Cowboys at the 17th pick, I went on this quick radio tour of talking with people and never had a chance to change clothes. And so where we were at the time, which is off Perdido Key, we had to drive all the way back into Pensacola, which is about a 45-minute drive, and it was raining just for me to catch a 3:10 flight. I got dressed around 1:30 or 2 o'clock, and I had to drive 45 miles into town and all that just to get on the flight to fly to Dallas. And so I never had a chance to change clothes. And I was prepared to wear something a little bit more appropriate?
I don't know, man. It seems pretty appropriate because everybody took notice right away. And when you got on the field, everyone took notice right away. So you were the third of 3 straight Hall of Fame first-round picks for the Cowboys. 88, it was Michael Irvin. 89, it was Aikman. You were in 1990. When you got there and got around these guys, how soon did you realize, holy crap, we're going to be a really good football team?
You know, Trey, I had a feeling before I got there. And here's why. One, Jimmy Johnson.
Yep.
He was a winner in college, and he built a great Miami football team. And he built that team from people that were not, let's just call it, highly recruited players, well-known players, top 5, top 50 players, and so forth. He had guys that were football players, and he knew how to find talent. And so that was my number one thing in my mind, that we were going to become a good team. Number 2, I had played against Troy Aikman as a freshman, and also played against Michael Irvin when he was at Miami, and Jimmy when it was my freshman year down at Florida. So we played against Aikman and UCLA and those guys out there in Hawaii in the Aloha Bowl. And there was Ken Norton on the football field. There was James Washington on the football field. Gaston Green on the football field. Troy Aikman on the football field. And some other UCLA players. So I had played against them, and I knew what Troy had the capabilities of doing. So when I got drafted by the Cowboys, I was so excited. I didn't even care about the 1 and 15. I just knew we were going to be better. And I knew Jimmy was going to build something that would be pristine and that everyone could be proud of. Now, how that came together and how quickly it came together, that part I did not know. But I knew he was going to demand excellence.
Yeah, you just missed the playoffs your rookie year. Then 91 comes, and that's the year when I think the Cowboys that we know of, the Cowboys of the 90s, really started to form. But Aikman wasn't around for a lot of that season. He got banged up a little bit, and Steve Berline came in there. And there was a time when people were wondering, okay, is it going to be Steve Berline or is it going to be Troy Aikman? I mean, there was some thought about that.
Well, put it this way. Aikman, I think you think about 92.
Yeah.
92, but 91, Aikman was there. But here's the big thing that changed the trajectory of the Cowboys offense. Norv Turner came in 91. That set everything else in motion. And Berline did come in, and I believe he did help that year, but Aikman was the guy. There was no doubt, because Aikman and Irvin and then Harper came around, and Jay Novacek was already there, and that ball was going everywhere, and I got my touches. Yeah. They made sure I got my touches, and I think that in itself transferred into a winning season and a successful season, because we went into the playoff for the first time, and we went there fairly quickly, much quicker than everyone else would anticipate.
Well, listen, one of my great Norv Turner lines of all time, I think he was talking about you before the rain game in Philadelphia in 93, right around Halloween, where it must have been a pre-production meeting with whoever's doing the broadcast. And he said, well, you know what? They're going to get a heavy dose of 22 today. And that was the philosophy, which is so weird now in the way football is played. The philosophy for the Cowboys was, until you stop this dude with our offensive line, we're just going to keep doing it.
And my philosophy is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if they can't stop it, keep running it. Run it down their throat until they stop it. Their job is to stop it. And if they can't stop it, just keep running it. One of my favorite things was when Norv left, Ernie Zampese came in. And Zampese asked Norv, he said, Norv, how many carries can I give him? And Norv turned to him and said, he'll let you know when he's tired.
And that didn't happen very often. That did not. I was about to say, I don't think I ever remember you saying, yeah, I'm tired. I don't think that ever happened. We do need to talk about that offensive line for a second, yes, right? I mean, my God, because the Cowboys line, I think, takes on mythical qualities now. And people forget, and Aikman will attest to this, like before they all got there, it was the same guys. They just hadn't played together, and they weren't great. And then they got some time together with Tui and Newt and Stepp and all those guys. And all of a sudden, the guys that were just sort of okay found a way to work together, and it was magic.
Right. It was definitely magic. I think the transition from David Schuler to North Turner helped solidify what the offensive line was going to do. And then we went from Tony Wise into Hudson Hawk.
Yep.
Hudson Hawk was a great offensive line coach for the Rams and so forth back in the day when Dickerson rushed for 2,000 yards and they had that great Ram team. And so we had the same offense. And what was so ironic about that offense is, Trey, it was the same offense I had in high school.
Wow.
The exact same offense, the exact same numbering system, the exact same pass tree that I had in high school. And so I was at home.
Well, so now here's the question. How good was your high school coaching staff then? They're running the same thing that they're running the NFL.
My high school coaching staff was pretty good. Jimmy Nichols and Jimmy Nichols was our North Turner.
Yeah.
And Dwight Thomas was my Jimmy Johnson. Because they demanded the same thing that Jimmy Johnson demanded. And Jimmy would run that rock as much, and we'd throw the hitches, we'd throw the 8 routes, we'd throw the 7s, we'd throw the 5s, the 6, and we'd throw the 4 routes as well. We threw all the route trees. And so our offense was just, we were good. We won 2 state championships.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Well, speaking of back to back, that's something we should probably talk about. So let's take a quick break, have a little sip, and when we come back with Emmitt, we'll talk about what it was like to be a member of the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl winning teams of the 90s. Stay with us.
I got ice in mine.
You know, here in the East Coast and quite frankly across the country, McDonald's just isn't this large global restaurant. It's a local one too. Much in the same way these Hall of Fame athletes that you see me talking to are also people that live and work in the communities and towns where they are. McDonald's are owned and operated by people that live in those communities. And when you eat at a McDonald's, you're supporting a local business. You might even be supporting your neighbor's business. And McDonald's franchises also care about the communities that they're in. That's why they give back to the local Ronald McDonald chapter houses and why they help first responders, like when they gave hot, fresh meals to those out there fighting the devastation of Hurricane Laura. When you own a McDonald's, you are committed to serving the community where you do business. McDonald's, serving here. Now it's time for the surprisingly great story sponsored by State Farm. State Farm gets you surprisingly great rates, so when you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, now it's time for some surprisingly great stories about what I believe is arguably the deepest team the NFL has ever fielded, and that would be the Cowboys of the 90s, because people forget it was after your first Super Bowl win over the Bills in Super Bowl XXVII. That's when free agency hit.
Yes.
And you guys obviously got picked apart. But I think people don't know what it was to be a member of the Cowboys of the 90s at that time. You guys were superstars. You guys were rock stars. You guys were like a band that toured. It took on like a life of its own almost.
It really did. It really did. And here's how I would say you're absolutely correct. It took on a life of its own, because when you think about marketing and promotions and everything else, you think about those marketing dollars and everything else going to your tier 1, tier 2 athletes, your Trey Wingo, your Michael Irvins, or Emmitt Smith. And then you may go to Alvin Harper or Ken Norton or someone like that. Our team was such rock stars. We had special team guys that had apparel. We had special team guys that were selling licensed products. so
the long snapper, Dale Hellestray, had his own radio show. I have never seen a long snapper anywhere else have their own damn radio show.
Kenny Gant, the shark, had
the shark
in hats and everything. He do his dance on the football field, and everybody had a piece of the success that we all were able to enjoy. And that's when you know that, hey, there's something special here. Yeah. We had a lot of personalities, no doubt. Oh,
well, I used to kid with Darren Woodson all the time. Thank God the Twitter wasn't around for the Cowboys in the 90s, because things might have gone south in a hurry. But you know, I think every athlete, Emmitt, wants to be the baddest guy on the block. And for about a 3-year, 4-year period, you guys were. I mean, the swag you guys had was unmistakable. When did you guys, I mean, obviously the first Super Bowl probably solidified that. By the way, one of my favorite lines of all time, Jay Leno, after that Super Bowl on the Tonight Show, he said, 52-17. Is that a score? Or is Woody Allen dating again? Still one of the greatest lines I've ever heard in my life. But that sort of launched you guys into the stratosphere. How much fun was it to walk around knowing, A, you were the baddest guys on the block, and B, everyone wanted to take you down and they couldn't do it?
You know, it felt good. It really did. It felt like it was unstoppable, and we were unstoppable. But like you said earlier, when free agency hit and you start taking away our depth, Jimmy Jones ended up leaving and other players ended up leaving. And so our depth started to dwindle down. But we were so solid. I mean, so good in 92, which was probably 92, 93 may have been our best 2 years, period.
Yep.
No doubt. And it felt great because when we went to the second Super Bowl down in Atlanta, here's one of my favorite stories. I'm walking in to a Hard Rock party, and this is like on a Wednesday night, and I'm standing on the red carpet and I'm talking to the press. Then all of a sudden I hear a commotion goes on behind me, and I turn around and Lord, look who I see. I see Magic Johnson and I see Michael Jordan. Wow. Two of the greatest ever on the red carpet. And they come up to me and say, man, congratulations, blase, we're rooting for you. And they pat me on the back and they say, let's go in the club together. So we go in the club together. I'm like, that's when you realize I have arrived.
Honestly, like the only team I can think would be the Bulls of the 90s and the Cowboys of the 90s in that similar vein of where everything went. You mentioned the second straight Super Bowl, and that was a tough year. Again, Aikman got hurt that year. Bernie Kosar came in and helped you guys win the NFC Championship game that year.
Yep.
But you guys were down 13-6 at half. Yep. What happened at halftime? What was the halftime speech like? Because this is the same team that you'd beaten the previous year, 52-17. It was their fourth straight year trying to win a damn Super Bowl in Buffalo.
Yep.
What was take me in the locker room at halftime? What was going on?
Trey, it was calmness. And it went pretty simple. I come in the locker room. North Turner comes up to me and say, we're going to get you the football. Jimmy Johnson come up to me and say, we're going to get you the football. And all of a sudden I hear commotion going on in my offensive line. The Eric Williams, Larry Allen, and everybody else. Nate Newton jump up and down. They all getting hyped up, get ready. I'm like, yeah, it's my time. It's about to be on now. And you know, like Buffalo did in the previous Super Bowls, they made the fatal mistake.
Yep.
They turned the ball over. James Washington scoops it up, runs it back for a touchdown. We tie this game back up. And then all of a sudden they go 1, 2, 3 and out and punt. And that drive that we had, that eight play drive.
Power on every play, right?
7 run plays straight. I mean, except for the 7th play was a pass play, but the 8th play was a run play, and it was for a 20-some yard touchdown. We ran power right, slant left, power right, slant left. We just ran that thing straight down the field for 60 or 70-some yards, and the game was over because what Jimmy and Norv realized, and you're right, Troy was banged up.
Yeah.
People forget, we didn't have a bye week.
Right.
And he had got a concussion the week before against San Francisco.
Ted Washington.
He never played in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't quite all the way there.
No, he was not.
He was not. And we struggled in the first half. So they shifted gears fairly quickly. And they leaned on the thing that got us into the playoff in the first place was that running game the whole entire season.
And I remember you guys had taken the lead, and it was in the fourth quarter, and you were driving down again, and it was a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, whatever, or from the goal line, 4th and goal. And, you know, a kick puts you up in a comfortable margin that you're probably going to win the game. And Jimmy was like, no, we ain't kicking it. They ran it to you on the left side. When he does that, because he did that a bunch, you know, before that game, we'll find out they're brass or paper mache. We know the whole story there. But when in that situation where a field goal probably wins you the game, and Jimmy Johnson said, screw it, we're going to ram it down their throats one more time. What did that give that team? What kind of energy did it give you knowing, hey, man, he knows I'm going to get it?
Hey, Jimmy, one thing about Jimmy knew his players left and right. He knew the energy of the players. He knew the swag of the players. He knew how we practiced, whether or not we were going to have a close game or a game that no one could even touch us. He knew his team. He knew his players inside out. He knew how to push the right buttons. And at the end of the day, when it came down to that 4th and 1 at the goal line, and what we had did early on in the third quarter, and now we're down there, Jimmy's like, shoot, I got one of the best runners in the game. When it comes down to getting a touchdown, I know my guy gonna get me a touchdown because I was a touchdown hunting machine. That was the mission. You get me down there, I'm gonna find a way to get in that end zone, one way or the other. Like I tell my son EJ, when you get that close, it ain't no dancing. It's one cut and go, baby, and get behind your pass. It's mano. You have to rise up and become bigger than you really are and get into the end zone. Find that goal line and you penetrate that doggone white line and it's over, period. And so—
Emmitt, now I want to play. You got me fired up, man.
That's just the way it is, man. I mean, when the man turn to you and they call your number and everybody know it's going to happen, shoot, you better swell up.
Well, and the Dallas Cowboys—
I ain't told your ego. You better swell up and man up. You better let it drop.
Put on your big boy pants and get in there.
And get in there.
Yeah. Brother, it is always good to spend time with you. Cheers to you, my friend, and cheers to those Cowboys teams in the 90s. Thank you.
Most definitely.
So that'll do it for this episode of Half Forgotten History. Our thanks to Emmitt Smith for joining us. And because of that, we're sending a check to Ronald McDonald House in his name for giving us his time. But you know what? There was so much good stuff we didn't get to. We're going to run it back. We're going to do it again. We've got another episode with more information from Emmitt Smith, including how he thought his marketing team lost him the Super Bowl XXVIII against the Bills. Stick around for that one next time.